I want you to try something for me, right now. Unless you are driving, obviously. But if you can, just for a second, close your eyes.
Yeah, please keep them open if you are on the road.
Right, safety first. But otherwise, picture your own face. The
Mhm.
specific curve of your nose, that little scar on your chin you got when you were 6, the way your eyes look when you are tired. You know that face better than any landscape on Earth. I mean, it is the map of you.
It is the anchor of your identity. It is the interface you use to interact with the entire world.
Exactly. Now keep that image in your head. Imagine you wake up. You feel groggy, maybe a little sore, but inside, you feel 100% like yourself. You are you.
Right, all your memories, your whole personality is completely intact.
Yes. So you get up, walk into a bathroom to splash some cold water on your face, and you look up at the mirror. But the face staring back isn't yours.
And it is not a monster. It is not a blur.
No, it is a completely different human being. A stranger mimicking your every move.
That is just the ultimate dissociation nightmare. It strikes at the very core of human consciousness. The assumption that our internal self and our external reality are inextricably linked.
Yeah.
When that link is severed, you aren't just confused, you are effectively erased. It is a psychological break of the highest order.
And that terrifying premise is what we are unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into the opening chapter of The Ghost in the Mirror by Anthony Miracho. Now, looking at the sources we have, pulled reviews, literary analysis, and the text itself, this isn't just your standard body swap story. It is way heavier than that.
No, and that is a crucial distinction to make right off the bat.
Yeah.
Usually body swaps are tropes for comedy or romance. Think Freaky Friday or 13, going on 30. It is about walking a mile in someone else's shoes to learn a lesson about empathy or growing up.
Right. You learn to appreciate your mom or your kid or your boss, and then poof.
The magic spell breaks and you switch back, lesson learned.
Exactly. But Morocco isn't interested in the comedy. He is treating this as a biological and psychological horror. He is asking a much darker question.
If you strip away the face, the voice, the body, and the life you built, what is actually left of you?
Right. Is there anything left?
It is an existential crisis wrapped in a thriller.
So let us set the scene for you. Our protagonist is Amelia, or at least her software, her soul, her memories, her personality is Amelia. When the story opens, she is waking up in a hospital room. But immediately, she knows something is wrong.
Because the environment is wrong. The source text describes the room as oppressively luxurious. We aren't talking about your standard, sterile, fluorescent-lit hospital room with linoleum floors. We are talking high thread count sheets, total silence, fresh flowers, and marble finishes in the ensuite bathroom.
Which signals a massive socioeconomic jump immediately. Amelia is, as the text describes her, a regular mom. She works hard, she scrapes by, she drives a beat-up car. Waking up in a facility that screams wealth and status isn't a comfort. It is the first clue that her reality has shifted.
It establishes a massive gap between who she is and where she is. It creates an immediate dissonance. But what I found fascinating in the analysis is that her first thought isn't, who am I? Because her memory is intact.
She isn't an amnesiac. She remembers everything, specifically the crash.
She remembers a bright red Ferrari smashing into her car. That is a traumatic, near-death memory. So biologically, her brain is priming her body for impact. She's waking up expecting broken bones, traction, intense pain, maybe the inability to move.
But instead, she feels fine. Maybe a little shaky, a little weak, like she has been in bed for a while, but not, I just got hit by a speeding Ferrari week. She gets up and walks to that fancy marble bathroom. She wants to wash her face, maybe wake herself up from what she assumes is a vivid, medication-induced nightmare.
And this brings us to the mirror moment. In film and literature, this is often a throwaway shot. The character looks in the mirror and screams. But here, the author slows it down. She looks up, expecting Amelia, and instead she sees a woman with perfect, poreless skin, a model's face, high cheekbones, completely different hair color.
And her reaction is so visceral. The text says she lets out a short, sharp yelp of pure terror. But the worst part isn't the scream. It is that the reflection screams back.
That is where the neurological horror kicks in. We rely on two things to know who we are: proprioception, which is your internal sense of where your body is in space, and visual confirmation. Usually these match perfectly. You feel your mouth open to scream, you see the reflection's mouth open.
But when the face doesn't match the internal map,
it causes a massive cognitive short circuit. It is similar to the uncanny valley effect, where something looks human but isn't quite right. Except here, the monster is you. She sees a stranger mimicking her perfectly. She touches her cheek. The stranger touches her cheek.
It is that split second of thinking, is there someone standing in front of me? Followed by the crushing realization that no, that is me. It is a total betrayal of the senses.
But notice the brain's defense mechanism here. The sources highlight her immediate rationalization. She doesn't jump to magic or body swap. She jumps to medication.
Which is exactly what any of us would do. You would think, okay, the doctors gave me the good stuff. I am high. I am hallucinating. So she decides to do a reality check.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do the cliche pinch on the arm.
No, she gets violent. This character has real grit.
She hauls off and slaps herself across the face as hard as she can.
I love this detail because it serves two purposes. One, it is a test of the dream state. In a dream, physical pain is often dulled, distant, or non-existent. But she feels the sting immediately.
A sharp, burning sting.
And two, it leaves a mark. She looks in the mirror and sees a bright red handprint blooming on that perfect model-like skin. That handprint is the anchor. It is the physical proof that this impossible situation is adhering to the laws of physics. Cause and effect, slap and pain.
It is her claiming the body in a weird way by damaging it, like she's trying to break through the mask. But just as she is processing that pain, bam, the horror deepens. She hears a knock at the door, and the little girl's voice calls out, "Mom? Mom, are you okay?"
This raises the stakes exponentially. Up until this moment, it was a personal body horror crisis. I am in the wrong vessel. Now it is an interpersonal crisis. I am inhabiting the life of a mother, and her child is right outside.
It introduces the moral dilemma immediately. But before she can even deal with the kid, the doctors come in. And the scene, this is where the deep dive really gets interesting for me. Because the doctors are thrilled she is awake.
They see a miracle recovery. They don't know the internal software has changed.
Right, and they start doing those standard cognitive tests. Follow the light with your eyes, squeeze my hand, and then the big ones. Do you know who the president is, and what is the date?
These are standard orientation questions. They establish a baseline for neurological damage or retrograde amnesia. They basically act as a sanity check.
So Amelia answers confidently. She is Amelia. She knows what is up. She says the president is Barack Obama. And for the date, she says it is January 2nd, 2016.
And the room goes dead silent. You can practically hear the air conditioning hum in the pause.
The doctor clears his throat, looks at his clipboard, and drops the bomb. He says, actually, today is January 7th, 2017.
Just pause on that. It is not just a face swap. She has lost an entire calendar year.
Imagine that. Truly imagine it. You go to sleep or you crash your car in 2016, you wake up, and the world has turned without you for 370 days. Trends have changed. Politics have changed. Your children have had birthdays without you.
It is a profound form of temporal displacement. It isolates her even further. But there is a specific detail the doctor adds when he corrects her date. He doesn't just give her the time, he gives her a name.
Yes. He calls her Mrs. McKenzie.
And that name triggers the lock in Amelia's brain. She connects the dots instantly. Victoria McKenzie, the rich socialite, the woman who owned the red Ferrari.
So now we have the full picture of the cruelty here. Amelia isn't just in a stranger's body. She is trapped in the body of the woman who caused the accident. The killer, or at least the perpetrator, is now the vessel for the victim.
It creates a fascinating layer of self-loathing. Every time she looks in the mirror, she sees the instrument of her own destruction. She sees the face of the person who, in her mind, killed her.
It is twisted. She is literally walking around in the skin of the person who destroyed her life. But this brings up a massive question. If she is in Victoria's body, where is Victoria?
That is the question, isn't it? Is Victoria dead? Did her soul vanish? Or, and this is the darker theory, did they swap? Is Victoria McKenzie currently waking up in Amelia's battered body, maybe in a different hospital, or worse?
Oh, I don't even want to think about that yet. Let us stick to Amelia. Because she has very specific reasons. She can't just say, hey, cool, I am rich now. I will take the marble bathroom and the Ferrari and call it a day. She remembers something from the transition. A voice.
This adds the supernatural or metaphysical layer. It is not just a biological glitch or a scientific anomaly. She remembers a voice in the darkness speaking to her during the coma state.
The voice said, go back. Protect them.
Protect them. That directive changes everything. It gives her a mission. It gives her purpose. Yeah. But we have to define who them is.
The source tells us Amelia is a devoted mother. She has a husband named Ben. She has 2 daughters. That is her them, her real family.
But consider the strategic nightmare this creates. She's being told to protect a family that, from their perspective, has likely buried her. Or worse, she is in the body of the woman who hurt their mother.
Right. Think about the mechanics of this. If she walks up to her husband, Ben, looking like Victoria McKenzie, the rich woman who hit his wife,
Yeah.
he isn't going to see Amelia. He is going to see the enemy. He might attack her. He certainly won't hug her.
And if she tries to explain, hey, Ben, it is me, Amelia, inside this rich lady.
She gets committed. Immediately. They call the cops.
Exactly. She would be diagnosed with something akin to Capgras delusion, the belief that people have been replaced by imposters or just general psychosis. She has no way to prove she is Amelia Rossi. Her fingerprints are Victoria's. Her DNA is Victoria's. Even her voice box produces Victoria's voice.
That is the part that really gets me. The voice. She can't even speak in her own tone. Every word she says sounds like a stranger. It is total isolation. She can scream, I am Amelia, all she wants, but it sounds like Victoria McKenzie saying it.
It is the ultimate loneliness. You can be surrounded by people, doctors, a new daughter, maybe a husband for Victoria, and yet be completely alone because nobody on earth knows you are in there.
And meanwhile, she has this immediate obstacle right in front of her, that little girl outside the hospital door,
Yeah.
the one calling her mom.
This is where the title The Ghost in the Mirror really starts to resonate. Amelia is effectively a ghost haunting Victoria McKenzie's life. She is inhabiting the machine, pulling the levers, but she doesn't belong there.
And she has to make a split-second decision. The doctors are watching her reaction. The kid is waiting. Does she scream the truth, I am not your mom, my name is Amelia, or does she play the role?
The source breaks down the final moments of this first chapter, and it is a masterclass in tension. She slides down the bathroom wall, totally overwhelmed, and she answers the little girl through the door.
She says, Mommy is just fine.
And the internal monologue that follows is chilling. She thinks, it was the biggest lie I had ever told.
That lie is the contract she just signed.
It is. By saying Mommy is fine, she has agreed to perform the role of Victoria. She has agreed to the deception. She is now an imposter in this child's life.
But she does it to buy time, right? To figure out how to get back to her real family. She can't protect Ben and the girls if she is locked in a padded cell.
Survival mode, yes. But think about the difficulty level here. We talk about fake it till you make it, but this is absurd. She doesn't know this kid's name. She doesn't know if Victoria was a good mom or a bad mom. Was she affectionate? Was she cold?
She doesn't know where the coffee cups are kept.
Yeah.
She doesn't know her PIN number. She doesn't know the passwords to her email. She has to improvise an entire life while grieving her old one.
And she has to do it while suppressing the trauma of the accident and the confusion of the coma. It is a cognitive load that is almost impossible to imagine. She has to learn the history of the last year, a year she missed, from the perspective of a woman she doesn't know.
And remember the voice. Protect them. If she is stuck being Victoria, how does she protect Ben and her girls? Does she send them money anonymously? Does she try to befriend them as this rich stranger?
That is the strategic puzzle. If she approaches them, she risks re-traumatizing them. But if she stays away, she is failing the one command she was given.
And let us go deeper into the voice for a second. Why say, go back?
Yeah, it implies intent. It wasn't a random cosmic accident. Someone or something sent her back.
Which implies a purpose. Is she there to redeem Victoria? Or is she there to save her family from something else? And if Victoria was the bad guy in the accident, does Amelia now have to pay for Victoria's sins?
Oh, that is a heavy concept. Karmic debt paid by the wrong soul.
Precisely. She inherits the wealth, yes. But she also inherits the guilt, the enemies, and the secrets of Victoria McKenzie. For all we know, Victoria was a terrible person. Maybe she has enemies coming for her. Maybe she was involved in illegal activity. Amelia doesn't know any of that. It is like jumping into a video game on the hardest difficulty setting, halfway through the game, with no tutorial, and if you die for real.
And with high stakes, if she fails, her real family is unprotected. If she slips up, she gets locked in a psych ward.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about identity. We touched on the biological aspect, but what about the philosophical side? If Amelia plays the role of Victoria for a year, 5 years, 10 years, does she eventually become Victoria?
That is the central question of identity theory. Are we our memories, or are we our actions? It is like the ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every part of a boat, is it still the same boat? If Amelia spends every day parenting Victoria's child, spending Victoria's money, and responding to Victoria's name, the neural pathways of Amelia will start to fade.
Use it or lose it.
Exactly. The path of least resistance is to accept the luxury, accept the new daughter, and let the old life fade into a dream. The voice and her mission are the only things anchoring her to her past self.
So the thriller aspect isn't just will she get caught, it is will she forget.
Yes. It is a race against her own adaptation. She has to remain alienated enough to want to leave, but integrated enough to survive. That is an exhausting psychological tightrope.
And let us look at the imposter element with the child. That feels like the most gut-wrenching part for me. Deceiving a doctor is one thing. You can lie to a doctor. But deceiving a child who loves you.
It creates a barrier of intimacy that can never be breached. Every hug she gives that child is a lie. Every I love you is stolen. Even as she starts to care for the child, she knows she isn't the mother the child thinks she is. It creates a permanent state of guilt.
And on the flip side, she is yearning for her own kids. It pits her maternal instinct for her real children against the immediate needs of the child standing right in front of her.
It is a brilliant setup because there is no good choice. Every move she makes betrays someone.
So let us recap this impossible situation before we wrap up. We have a woman, Amelia, who wakes up a year after a car crash. She is in the body of the wealthy woman who hit her. Her real family thinks she is dead or gone. She has a mysterious mandate to protect them. And she has to lie to a little girl just to survive the next 5 minutes.
It is a pressure cooker of identity, memory, and morality.
It really is. And looking at the source material, it is clear why this hook is so effective. It bypasses the fun of a body swap and goes straight for the emotional jugular.
It forces the reader to strip away the external markers of who they are. We define ourselves by our jobs, our appearance, our relationships. Amelia has lost all of those in an instant. All she has left is her intent.
Her intent to protect.
Yes. And the story challenges us to ask, is intent enough to define a person? If you look like a villain but act like a hero, what are you?
That is the big question. You know, when we talk about walking a mile in someone else's shoes, Amelia's walking a life in someone else's skin.
And paying a heavy price for it.
So here is something for you to think about as you go about your day. We all look in the mirror every morning. We check our hair. We brush our teeth. We expect to see us. But if tomorrow you woke up, looked in that glass, and saw a stranger staring back, how would you convince the person you love most that it was still you?
Without using your face, without using your voice, without knowing the secrets only your body would know, like that scar on your chin or the mole on your back.
Exactly. What is the one thing you could say or do that would prove your soul was still in there? It is a tough one. I have been thinking about it all morning, and I still don't have an answer.
It is the ultimate test of intimacy. It might even be impossible. It makes you realize how much we rely on the packaging to define the product.
Well, on that slightly terrifying note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive into The Ghost in the Mirror. It is a wild story, and we have only just scratched the surface of that first chapter.
There is certainly a lot more to unravel in how she navigates this new world.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone. Check your mirrors, and we will catch you in the next deep dive.